All right. Hi, everyone. That was a very great panel session just in the beginning of the fourth day of the Blockchain Community Day conference. And now it's my turn to moderate the rest of the talks that we'll be having today. My name is Alec. And yeah, as I said, this is the first day. We are here for the entire week, and we have even 2 days ahead. Today and tomorrow, we'll be having a bunch of speakers about very interesting topics. Same day, same time, every day. And I'm very happy to invite our today's guest speaker, Anastasiia Sanina, who will be speaking about the topic of two ledgers, one asset. Hi, Nastya. Can you hear us?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, happy to see you joining our conference. And before we start, I'd like to ask our audience to join the Telegram chat, and I will just send the link to join in a minute, so you can just find all the network of the conference and ask questions about the conference, about the talks, about the speakers, or ask for an introduction to a certain speaker. So please make sure to join there. And yeah, whenever you guys have any questions, just leave them in the live chat wherever you're watching this conference, be it on the We Are community platform, on X, on YouTube, and we will be going through the questions closer to the end of the session. And yeah, without further ado, Anastasia, I'd like to ask you to say a couple of words about yourself, and after that, we will be good to start the presentation itself.
Great. Yeah. My name is Anastasiia Sanina, and I'm not an architect. I have never written a line on Solidity in production, and I'm here in a deeply technical conference talking about bridges. I have 5 years experience working as a backend engineer, but after this period of time, I realized that the most exciting part of work for me, not just writing the code, but understanding how technical solutions may affect business outcomes. That's why I moved into product and program management. And yeah, uh, finally, I've landed as employee number 3 at a regulated blockchain startup in the Gulf. And today I will share my experience, how we've implemented the bridge between our private permissioned blockchain, I mean Hyperledger Fabric, and the public blockchain Ethereum, how it worked, and what lessons were learned after our deployment.
Amazing. Happy to hear that. And I can see the deck is on the stage, and we are good to start. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Yeah. First of all, picture this. It's 2023. A client comes to us as a financial institution operating in a regulated jurisdiction with a permission blockchain platform based on HLF. They've been watching the blockchain space for years. They've seen the hype, they've read the white papers, they've been to the conferences, and now they are ready. They want to tokenize a financial instrument, let's say a bond. They want it on blockchain. So we sit down and we ask, what does that mean to you? And they say, we want our investors to be able to trade freely, peer to peer, 24/7, no intermediaries, global reach, real liquidity. Great. So Ethereum, public chain, permissionless, and they go quiet for a second, and finally then they say, but our regulator needs to know who holds what at all times. We need full KYC or KYB information, full AML, no anonymous wallets, and if there is ever an audit, the regulator needs to walk in and see every transaction, every name, and every timestamp. So public chain is out. Okay, Hyperledger Fabric then. Private permission, known participants, auditable by design, perfect for regulated environments. And they say, but then how do my investor trade on Binance? How do I reach the global DeFi market? How, yeah, how can I provide the liquidity for our market? And so on. So it seemed that it's not possible to implement just only with Hyperledger Fabric. And that was the something like a historic moment for us. That the contradiction at the heart of the whole conversation. It's not a technical question, it's a business dilemma. The client need both. I mean, the compliance environment required a private chain, the market required a public one, and there was no off-the-shelf answer. That's where we started building. Yeah, so give me a simple mental model. Hyperledger Fabric is a controlled environment. It's a private permission blockchain. You know every participant, transactions are confidential, KYC, KYB, and AML happen natively. The regulator can be given a note, literally a seat at the table and see everything. Full names, amounts, and timestamps. And Ethereum is the opposite. It's a public permissionless network. Anyone with a wallet can participate. There is deep liquidity. There is a global DeFi ecosystem. There are exchanges, both centralized and decentralized, that speak Ethereum natively. Assets can move freely peer-to-peer 24/7. And now think about a tokenized bond or sukuk or any regulated real-world asset. When it's been issued, you need Fabric, KYC, AML, licensed participants, regulatory oversight. When it's trading on the secondary market, you need Ethereum, liquidity, interoperability, global reach. When a coupon is paid, you need Fabric. That's business logic. That's your license platform computing the payment. When someone wanna sell their position at a midnight to a counterparty in another country, you need Ethereum again. And here is the critical insight that took us a while to articulate clearly. And HLF tokens cannot be listed on any CX or DEX, full stop. Hyperledger Fabric is a private network. It has no native compatibility with Ethereum. Uniswap has never heard of it. Binance doesn't know it exists. So if your investor holds a token on Fabric and wanna sell it on a public exchange, technically that token doesn't exist in that world. The bridge is the solution to that problem. And this really important, the bridge is not a constant channel. It's a gateway for transitions. The assets move from one world to another when the business purpose requires it. So think of these stages. Issuance happens in Fabric, private, compliant, auditable. Secondary market trading happens in Ethereum via mirror token or a wrapped token that represents the asset in the public world. Corporate events like coupon payments and redemptions are computed in Fabric again. The business logic states where your compliance is. Rain dry when someone from the public chain want to redeem, they come back through the bridge, go through KYC or KYB, and rejoin the private world. The bridge is the managed transition between these stages, and managing that transition, that's the product. In general, how the bridge actually works. Any bridge between a permissioned and public chain has three moving parts. Lock and mint. When a token moves from Fabric to Ethereum, it doesn't get copied. It gets frozen, held in escrow on the Fabric side, and a mirror token is minted on Ethereum, 1-to-1. The original exists, it's just held. The mirror is the public representation. Relay or Oracle, someone has to confirm that the lock on Fabric actually happened before they might released on Ethereum. That's the relay. It's the mechanism that makes events in on-chain legible to the other. And it's where most of the risk lives. And finality. Fabric gives you deterministic finality. When a transaction is confirmed, it's confirmed. Ethereum is probabilistic. You wait for enough blocks. That gap between the two has to be managed explicitly. It's not a bug, it's an architectural compromise you have to explain to your client before they sign anything. Okay, how our bridge worked step by step. Here is what we actually built in 2023. A token issued on Hyperledger Fabric. It carries the business logic, something like coupon schedule, ownership rules, redemption terms, and so on. It lives fully inside our license platform. And investor holds that token and decides they wanna take it to Ethereum. Maybe they wanna trade it, maybe they wanna use it as a collateral in a DeFi protocol. Anyway, they submit a withdrawal request through our platform specifying the Ethereum wallet address. We run a KYT check on that wallet. We verify it hasn't appeared in any dirty chains, sanction lists, or suspicious patterns. If it passes, we proceed. The investor transfers their HLF tokens to our platform's custodial wallet. We hold it, we don't move it, we don't spend it, and the token owner doesn't change. The signature logic ensures that we are custodian, not owner. So when the then mint an ERC20 token on Ethereum, a phantom token, we called it internally, or a mirror token, anyway, one-to-one, no business logic, just a number that represents a claim on the real thing sitting in Fabric. The phantom circulates freely in the public ecosystem. It can be traded, it can be transferred, it can go anyway. Meanwhile, back in Fabric, life continues. I mean, coupons are computed and paid, redemption events happen, the fiat equivalence accumulates in our custodial wallet, tagged to those phantom tokens floating in the public world. And yeah, the return journey looked so. I think it's really interesting part. Also, someone in the public ecosystem who bought those phantom tokens from the original investor, let's say, wants to redeem them. They register on our platform. They go through KYC or KYB. They became a real customer. They submit a request to bring their Ethereum tokens back into Fabric. And if the request is approved, the Ethereum tokens are burned. Either they transfer to our wallet, or we burn them, or and we burn them, or our smart contract forces the burn directly. It depends on the implementation, and it doesn't matter. And then we release the held HLF tokens from our custodial wallet and transfer them to the new customer's internal wallet. We also calculate everything that accumulated during their time in the public chain. I mean, coupon payments, accrued value, and credit that too. If they waited too long and the token was already redeemed in HLF, well, the white paper warned them. We sent reminders, and in the general case, if you miss the deadline, you lose the accumulated payments. That's a business decision, not a technical one. What we built in 2023, IBM Research formalized in 2025 with Fabric X and the SATP protocol. We were doing this with the custom code and a lot of careful thinking. They turned it into a standard. That means we were building in the right direction, and it also means that the tooling has gotten better since. And now a fair question is, at this point, why did we build from scratch? Were there existing solutions? Let's look at 3 of them. I will keep this brief. First of all, IPOE, Casper Labs, released in 2022. They built a hybrid, Hyperledger Fabric for private patent data, a Casper public chain for NFT representation. Similar philosophy, same lock-in Fabric, mirror on the public pattern, but it's IP, not finance. So no KYC requirements on the public side, no coupon life cycle, no fiat accumulation, no redemption journey. The architecture was right. The use case was simpler. The next example is OneChain, the closest technical match. They built a real Fabric-to-Ethereum bridge with lock and mint, decentralized relay nodes, and a clean return part. 7+ years in production with no security incidents. So it's really remarkable. And it's a public DeFi bridge. So no KYC, no KYT, no compliance layer. It means that anyone with a wallet can use it. For a regulated financial instrument, you can't just bolt that on. You need to rebuild the entire compliance wrapper from scratch, at which point you've written your own bridge anyway. And the last solution from IBM, it's IBM Fabric X, released in 2025. The most interesting comparison because it's the closest conceptually. IBM research essentially standardized our pattern. I mean, token SDK for escrow with CTP protocol for the cross-chain transfer, zero knowledge proofs for privacy, preserving identity. But it appeared in 2025. We were building our bridge in 2023. And even today, it doesn't handle the financial life cycle out of the box. I mean, something like coupon computation, accrued value on return, the edge cases around late redemption, and so on. And also something like compliance framework. So that's still custom. Yeah. So the answer to why did you build your own? It's because nothing that existed handled both. I mean, the compliance layer and the financial lifecycle in the same product. So the process were there, the assembled solution wasn't. Yeah, and now I wanna also speak about potential risks that related to this solution. First of all, the real big challenge wasn't technical. It was convincing a regulated financial institution that a token on Ethereum is not the same as a wild speculative cryptocurrency. I mean, the mental model most traditional finance clients start with this crypto is equal Bitcoin, is equal speculation, is equal scandal. Saying we are going to put your regulated bond on Ethereum sound to them like saying we are going to put your regulated bond on a casino floor. The argument that worked for us was Ethereum is a ledger. It records a number, that's it. What matters is the legal wrapper around the number, which lives entirely in our platform. The public chain is the delivery mechanism. The compliance happens on our side of the bridge. Then explaining the same thing to the regulator. Regulators, at least the ones we worked with, were comfortable with Hyperledger Fabric, private auditable permission blockchain. They could have a node, they could see names, amounts, and timestamps. Explaining Ethereum was a different conversation. The approach that worked, think of Ethereum as a number stored in a public database. The number is a phantom token. The phantom token has no business logic. It can't pay coupons, it can't be redeemed, it's just a claim ticket. The real asset and everything that matters stays in our system. Even then, convincing a conservative central bank that it's okay for a phantom token to travel through DeFi protocols, potentially touch wallets with complicated history, and come back to you for redemption, that's a long conversation. We had it many times. Then the dirty wallet problems. Here is a scenario that kept our legal team up at night. An investor holds phantom tokens on Ethereum. They sell them to someone, that someone sells them to someone else, and that third person's wallet has appeared in a suspicious transaction chain. Now that person wanna redeem. They come to us, they pass KYC personally, for example, they're clean. but the token they are presenting have been through a dirty chain. What do? It seems that there is no clean answer. You have to decide, do you look at the wallet presenting the claim, or do you trace the full transaction history of the token? And depending on what you find, what's your legal obligation? Do you freeze? Do you report? Do you pay? We had to think through every scenario and document a policy before we could go anywhere near production. This is not an engineering problem, it's a governance problem. And another edge case, what happens when someone tries to redeem a phantom token after after the underlying HLF tokens has already been redeemed or burned on the platform side. Formally, they are too late. The asset is gone. In practice, you cannot just tell an investor with real money on the line that they are too late because they misread a white paper. You need a policy. You need an escrow for unclaimed fiat. You need a defined window. You need a legal language. And all of that is product work, not engineering work. One more thing nobody mentions in the white paper: if someone buys your phantom token on a public exchange and later want to redeem it, they have to onboard to your platform. I mean, pass through KYC, create account, create an internal wallet, and all of that friction. And they would want it to use your platform. They probably would have brought the original token there. So the people holding your phantom tokens in the wild are specifically the ones who didn't want to be on your platform. It's obvious. So that's an adoption design problem, and it's a hard one. Another issue is related with listing of tokens. I mean, especially speaking about listing your even Ethereum-based tokens on public exchanges like CX exchanges. You should um, you should pay attention that it definitely will cost money, and also it takes some time. It takes some due diligence processes and so on. So it's really not so easy. And on technical footnote, that's worth saying out loud, the Ethereum side on this is actually simpler to operate than the Fabric side, because on Ethereum, you maintain a smart contract and connectors, and that's all. On Fabric, you are running a blockchain nodes, consensus, the whole stack, and so on and so forth. So, on the other hand, gas fees on Ethereum are real. Polygon and similar L2s exist for a reason, and every transaction fee that goes to gas is a fee that doesn't come to you. On a Fabric internal exchange, you would capture that spread yourself. This is a cost model decision, they matter at scale. To sum it up, I want to conclude that Fabric is really worth to build it only if you have a strict regulator, no liquidity need, all participants known, and you know who your investors, and they're happy in a closed system. In this case, don't build a bridge. It will be just an over-engineering. If you have mixed regulatory environment, liquidity matters, some participants unknown, you want to reach the public market, but your compliance core must stay licensed, build the bridge. And finally, if you have something like a light touch regulation, liquidity is the product, is the core of your product. Permissionless access is the point, then skip Fabric entirely. The bridge is not always the answer. It's answer when you need both worlds simultaneously and can collapse them into one. And yeah, finally, speaking about what I would do differently, yes, we built the bridge. We tested in testnet. We ran transactions. The mechanics work. We never launched it in production. Not because it failed, because the business priority shifted. Our regulator was more comfortable approving a Sharia compliant product line, Sukuk, Islamic finance instruments, where the primary and secondary market both lived inside our licensed platform, no public chain involved, clean regulatory story, clear approval path. The bridge became a capability on the shelf. What would I do differently? I wouldn't build a bridge primarily for a market where the regulator hasn't worked through what a public chain even means. Not because the bridge is wrong, it isn't. The architecture is sound, and IBM has since validated the exact same pattern at institutional scale, but selling your regulated bond will exist on Ethereum to a conservative central bank is an extremely long sales cycle. You are not just selling the product, you are educating a regulator, changing a mental model, and asking them to issue guidance in territory they've never mapped. That's possible. The Central Bank of Bahrain is actually more progressive than many. They don't associate blockchain only with crypto. They are curious about DeFi infrastructure. But even there, it took more time than the technology did. So, my practical advice, if you are in jurisdiction with a forward thinking regulator, one who understand that Ethereum is a ledger, not a casino, the bridge is a very powerful product, build it. If you are not, start by building the case for the regulator. The technology will be ready when they are, because ultimately, and this is thing I wanted to take away, a bridge between Fabric and Ethereum is not a technical decision. It's political decision about who you trust at each stage of an asset's life. So the technology is solved, the governance isn't. That's where the real work is. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Anastasia, for such a great presentation. Really informative. I really like when people share their own experience rather than some kind of theoretical material. And I see that we have two questions in the live chat. For the sake of time, let's quickly cover one of the questions here live, and the other one will be covered in text in our Telegram chat. So let me just quickly bring that up. And it says, and cost model question. Do you recommend Ethereum mainnet or layer 2 like Polygon to reduce gas for active trading?
It's obvious it depends not only your cost model, but also depend on your business goals. I mean, if you find that Polygon-like blockchain are less popular for your use case or for your market where you operate, it's obvious that you, in this case, you must go with Ethereum. Yes, you will pay for gas, but anyway, maybe your business model will be more profitable due to the population on Ethereum and maybe more trustness to this blockchain and so on. If it doesn't matter in your case, then yes, you can rely on other L2's blockchains.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, whoever asked this question, if you can share any more details so that we could be in more in the context of what you're working on right now, I think we can just continue the conversation. And yeah, and I will send this second question to Anastasia over on Telegram, and we will be providing that question, that reply in text just later, a couple of hours after the conference ends. And yeah, thank you so much, Anastasia, for such a great presentation again. I hope to see you again on our stage. Really looking forward to inviting you. And yeah, whenever there will be any questions, we'll be addressing them to you directly. And
Thank you.
yeah, this will be it for the second session of the Blockchain Community Day conference. And just in 15 seconds, we'll be back after a very short transition with the next talk about RWA. Stay tuned.